Remember those fleecy socks I made? Well, anyway, there was a lot more fleece where all of that came from, so I figured a patchwork fleece pajama pant. I arranged the individual scrap pieces together like a puzzle, aligning them all so that the stretch will be in the same direction, and this will allow the pants to easily stretch over your legs. And then we're going to sew all of these individual pieces together to create two large panels of fabric. One that has the blues and yellows, and then another that has the oranges and the reds. Okay, once all of that is done, and believe me, this takes quite a while, it's time to cut out our pattern. You can use any pants that you like the fit of, that fit like pretty comfortably, but I'm using my onesie because what's better than a loose fitting onesie, and I'm tracing around just the bottom half of the onesie to create my pattern. So I'm lining up all of the seams for the pants, especially around the crotch region, and I'm using this to mark out the edges for my own pattern. Now the only difference is that you need to remember to add about 1 to 2 centimeters for seam allowance when you're tracing around, or just remember to cut that extra when you're cutting out your fabric. So once you cut everything out, you should have 4 leg pieces, 2 for the front and 2 for the back. Now it's time to make it look like pants. Place the 2 back pieces face to face and sew along the inner seam from the waist to the crotch. Now go ahead and do the same for the 2 front pieces. Now you've got the front and the back separately. So open up these 2 pieces and then place them right sides facing together and sew up along the inseam, which is basically the seam that runs under your legs. You want to make sure that you've matched up the center to center seams so that everything looks super professional. You sew from the crotch to the ankle on one side, and then you come back to the crotch and sew back down to the other ankle on the other side, just because this ensures that the center stays aligned. Now that that's done, to sew down either side of the legs. So then you have complete pants. Could literally not be any easier. Hem the bottom of your pants by just folding them over once and straight stitching it, and then we're gonna move on to the waistband. I trimmed the top of my pants to be straight. But once I was done, I folded it over to create a channel that was large enough to fit my elastic through, and I sewed this up, making sure to leave a tiny gap between where I started and ended so I could easily feed the elastic in. Slap that elastic on the safety pin and shuffle it through the casing that we just made. Pull it all the way through and take the 2 ends of the elastic, sew them together with a zigzag stitch, tuck them back into the casing, sew up the waistband, and would you look at that, the pants are done. Fleece is honestly the best beginner fabric to work with. You don't need to worry about an overlock stitch, an overlocker, zigzag stitch, any of that fancy stuff. You literally only need to use a straight stitch. Like, how amazing is that?